Well, this sacking wasn't entirely unexpected. Suella Braverman has been known to have a hardline stance towards immigration here in the UK, and she's made a number of controversial comments and taken a number of controversial stances during her time as Home Secretary. However, she's really ramped up some of that rhetoric in recent weeks, and it's led to her sacking today. Some of those comments include saying that sleeping rough and homelessness is a lifestyle choice for some. She's also criticised the Metropolitan Police recently over their handling of the pro-Palestinian protests, including calls to ban those protests entirely. But it was really an article that she wrote, an opinion editorial that she wrote in the Times newspaper last week, that has made her position untenable. And that's because we've learned that article was written and it was sent to number 10 to the Prime Minister's office to be checked and to be approved, and that number 10 asked for some changes to be made to that article, and that she chose to go ahead and publish the article without making those changes. So that was really seen as a test to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's leadership and what he's willing to accept from his party members. And as we've seen today, he was unwilling to accept that in particular, and that's what has led to Suella Braverman being sacked today here in London.
Tell us a bit more about what kind of pressure Ms Braverman is accused of putting on the government and police via her comments.
Yeah, so in that Times article, Suella Braverman took a direct attack on the Metropolitan Police, or she's been accused of taking a direct attack. She criticised the way that the Metropolitan Police have approached not just these pro-Palestinian protests that we've seen in London in recent weeks, but the way that they've attended and they've policed protests in the past. She went back to the COVID-era protests and the way that Black Lives Matter protesters were treated during that period, as opposed to those that were protesting against the vaccine mandates, and said that the police had taken an uneven-handed approach, that they were favouring certain groups. And she said that in this coming weekend's protest, so it was Armistice Day here in London over the weekend, and there was a planned pro-Palestinian protest on the same day as some remembrance activities down at the Cenotaph. She accused the government of, the police and the government of allowing this protest to go ahead when it shouldn't. And as a result of that, we saw a number of far-right groups and football fans turning up at the Cenotaph and calling out at the police and saying that they have let their country down. And this was seen as being linked to some of the rhetoric that Suella Braverman was putting forward, saying that the police were failing to address some of the pro-Palestinian protests in this country. So she was seen as putting pressure on the police, and that this was then filtering off into the public in the way that the public was then treating the police.
And Michelle, how has this reshuffle seen a former Prime Minister return to Cabinet?
Well, this really was a surprise of the day. So Suella Braverman's sacking as Home Secretary was not unexpected. What was unexpected was seeing David Cameron return to number 10 this morning, and now to return to the government. Now, David Cameron was, of course, Prime Minister of the UK. He was the leader of the Tory party up until 2016, when he stepped down from the role. That was after he called for the Brexit referendum, which his campaign to Remain then lost. He stood down from government, and many people thought that would be the last we would be seeing of David Cameron here. However, in a shock to many, he arrived outside number 10's door this morning. He walked in during this period of cabinet reshuffle. Now, Suella Braverman's role as Home Secretary has been filled by James Cleverly, who was in the role of Foreign Secretary. David Cameron will now be the UK's Foreign Secretary, and he'll be dealing with the various global conflicts that we have at the moment. So there's the war in Ukraine, obviously the conflict in Israel and Gaza at the moment. So they'll be within his remit, which is an incredibly important portfolio at the moment. He is not an elected member of government, so he's not an MP currently. However, he has been inducted into the House of Lords. He's now a lifetime peer, which means that he can take up a position in government, and he will be doing so.
Michelle Rimmer, thank you for that update.
Thank you.